All right, welcome in. It is time for Total Bases. Apologize for a little bit of a makeshift setup. I'm going to get ready for the show this morning, Bryan, and I realized all of my camera equipment that I travel with is was in a box that was in a car that was not here. So I left it in the wrong vehicle, and so I am on the backup setup, which is essentially my iPhone, my earbuds. I got this propped up, and I hope that you guys can hear me okay, and I hope that it works. As I always say, Bryan, the show must go on.
There
I
you
did a
go.
show with Tokyo Brandon last week from a hotel lobby on my way to the Rays game. I'll do a show from my phone. We show up, we hype up our wins, like you had a great night last night. And then I still have to show up after the Rockies blow a 6-0 lead when I've got Rockies plus 1.5 and lose 8-6 and still do the show today. Rough night for me. I went 0-3 last night, Bryan. I had multi-run leads in all three games, and two of them I had the plus 1.5. That is a rough 0-3, but at least if you're on the double play package and you get me and Bryan and I, proper English here, you kind of offset us. You had a really good night last night. So tell the people how it went for you.
Yeah, I decided to use a lot of first halves in baseball, and I won four. We ended up going 4-1 overall. I did win my 5% play in a shutout in the NHL. Um, but yeah, really nice night. Gained nine percent profit for my clients, and now I'm up over 90% over the last 8+ months in net profit for my clients. So I've just about doubled everything, and that's what we want to do. The more net profit we get on a daily basis, the more profit the clients get. And a real nice day. And yeah, a lot of those games kept going back and forth, and one minute that's baseball. One minute you think you're winning, the next. And after I won all four in the first, or won a bunch of them in the first five, then I'm thinking, okay, just win the full game in case some people out there aren't able to play first fives. Although I think just about everybody does. But yeah, it was a nice day, and it happens. You get those days that you get some luck. You get days where you get no luck. It's just the way sports betting is.
You got to know that when the Rockies are up 6-0 and someone is wearing like a fur coat like from the Cameron Purple Haze album cover in the dugout, that something bad is about to happen. They got a little out in front of their skis and they didn't hit the rest of the game. And so the Braves just doing what the Braves do. Professor Chris, here's one trig. I think he means Wilmington Blue Rocks. Nice little ballpark. I hope if I'm inspiring you to get out and go to your local ballpark and check it out. I feel like I'm doing baseball a service by doing that. So I hope you had a good time at the Blue Rocks game. I think that's Wilmington, Delaware. So yeah, I've actually never been to that one, and it's doable here. I'm not. I don't. My sister's not that far from that. I will make a point to get out to that one at some point. I think that might be single A or high A for the Phillies, possibly. Maybe I'm wrong. I got to double check that. But at any rate, I will point out that you were right again about the parlay leg. I didn't even count that. That's kind of a brutal loss too. The Mariners come all the way back, tie the game, and then they lose 7-6. You were right about the Royals. I got to be honest. You were in my head. You kind of talked me off the Mariners for clients, so I appreciate that from you. But you were right about the Cardinals. They win last night, and I want to go to this game because this is Fox national TV. At least what I think most of the country is going to get on Fox. Roki Sasaki, and then Michael McGreevy, Bryan. I went back to, well, I just racked my brain. Toward the end of the year last year, I started on this show saying, hey, these are guys you need to sort of write down for next year. Circle this guy for next year. He's probably going to be someone you want to back. And I remember saying that about Michael McGreevy. He's been really good so far. Sub 3 ERA, 2.57, and pretty much you've been right about the Cardinals. They've all sort of performed better than the market thought. They sold off their veterans, and McGreevy's another guy that's benefiting from getting out there every day, being in the rotation. So the question is, neither of us have really loved Sasaki. Do you run it back with the Cardinals in some fashion here?
Yeah, we talked about the Dodgers' lack of hitting lately, which is their lack of hitting is different than a lot of other teams. But when you got Sasaki on the mound, now he has the last couple of starts. I think the last time out, I think he looks a little bit better. Not enough where he should be in the Dodgers rotation, but he looked a little bit better. And McGreevy's a guy who isn't going to blow you away most of the time, but he seems to be a smart young pitcher. And you don't find too many of those any longer. A lot of finesse guys, a lot of guys that just go with whatever's working for them. If you've got a pitch that's working for you, you go with it. A lot of guys will say that's not what I normally throw in this situation. So he seems to be a quick learner, and it's definitely helped him so far this season. When I take a look at these two from what my projections are here, we're looking at tells you why. One reason why I don't think Sasaki should be in the rotation is the numbers I use, and I've talked about this in the past. Ballpark Pal does a real nice job on it. Rocky Sasaki's got an 8% chance of getting a quality start. A lot of it is because it's control. It's not as bad now as it was earlier, but he's not been a big strikeout guy, and he's only expected to go 4.4 innings, whereas McGreevy's supposed to go 5.6. McGreevy's actually got a 40% chance of getting a quality start here. So you got one guy going for the favorite that has less, like 1 in 12 chance of getting a quality start against a guy that's got 2 out of 5 chance of getting the quality start. So, and you're catching them at home as an underdog. So you got to say, well, obviously the bullpen. Yeah, the bullpen is better for the Dodgers, no doubt about it. But you're giving up half your game. So if I'm playing this game, I'm either playing the home dog in the game or in the first 5. I think that may be another way to take a look at it. The Dodgers, people are going to bet the Dodgers. They're going to bet the Yankees, regardless of how they're doing. And right now, I just don't think the Dodgers deserve to be this favorite. And if you take a look as a guy that doesn't really bet baseball on a daily basis, and you see the Dodgers in the 125 range at St. Louis, you think that's a gift. Sometimes the lines maker's telling you what the right side is just by putting out that line.
The reason I like McGreevy so much, I mean, you could look at his overall numbers and you could say, oh, well, only 21 strikeouts and 33.1 innings pitched. He'll give up a little bit of a hard hit here and there, and he doesn't strike. Well, I just said he doesn't strike out a ton of batters. But I don't think this is a case, Brian, where I don't think that means he's going to regress. Reason being, he throws 8 different pitches, and he throws them all for strikes. He does not have, so he literally has an 8 pitch mix. Does not throw any pitch more than 25% of the time, and there isn't a single pitch that he doesn't throw for a strike. So if you just want to talk about upside, the Cardinals are going to have to be smart about this. But if they were to some of the breaking stuff for him tends to be a little bit more hittable. If they were to maybe trim that pitch mix down a little bit to the 4 or 5 really good ones, that could, see him take a step forward. But even right now, the fact that he's got 8 pitches and there isn't a single pitch that he can't throw competitive, right? In the zone, near the zone. It's not like he's just out there and a pitch is a constant waste. I think that makes him really tricky. And that is why that whip is low, and it's likely going to stay low even if he doesn't have the crazy strikeout numbers. Like you said, he is an old school type guy. We don't see many people like this, or we don't see many pitchers like this anymore, where they seem to have a clear understanding of how to get batters out, not just how to throw by hitters. And I'm very high on him. The only way I could play this would be the Cardinals. And listen, Cardinals plus 1.5 isn't in range right now. But if there was a flood of Dodgers money at some point today, which we know is always a possibility when it comes to the LA Dodgers, and you knock this down 10 cents, 15 cents, get it down under minus 130 for that plus 1.5, that would be a very good bet, in my opinion, as well.
I can definitely understand that. And I just checked the first inning or first 5 line against the regular line, and it cost you about 15 cents if you're looking to play the first 5 as opposed to the full game. But I know Brandon isn't a huge fan a lot of times of this Dodger bullpen, but they've got some arms in that bullpen. I don't worry about the short term with that bullpen.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. That's the thing. The Dodgers have such a surplus of quality players. It's just like, that's ultimately why the Dodgers, when we get to the finish line here, are probably going to be the best team. They just have a surplus of above average players at like every position.
Just the other day, the Dodgers picked up a guy on the free agent market that was dropped by a bad team. They see things that other teams don't.
Yep.
And that's why their pitching has always been so good.
Yeah, I mean, what's scary is like at Oklahoma City right now that their lineup is just raking. Like, there's probably guys. I don't know if the guy you're referring to is Sawinski, but he's been hitting ever since he got down there. Like, Ryan Fitzgerald. Like they've got
if the Dodgers were to bring their AAA team up to the major leagues, this is a serious question. How many games could they win in the major leagues?
I have an answer for you there. They would need their big league pitching. Oklahoma City doesn't really have a ton of pitching right now. So they would need like some of their big league pitchers, but their Oklahoma City 1 through 9 would win would win some games. They need the big league pitchers though.
They wouldn't be the worst hitting team in the major leagues.
James Tibbs. Will we see him at some point?
Well,
one of the best hitters in minor league baseball.
We've got so many great guys.
He says WagerTalk needs to do a series where Adam goes on the road and reviews ballparks at all levels. I mean, I'm basically doing that on my own. If you follow my Twitter at AdamTriggerWT, I'm doing my ballpark tours, and I'm also uploading them all to TikTok where they format better. So if you have a TikTok, go give your boy a follow. It's the same handle at AdamTriggerWT, and you'll see all of my college basketball arena tours, all the ballpark tours. They're all in one. They're all in one place. Over on TikTok. And then again, I post them as I do them over to Twitter. So since I'm not going to dare promo myself today after the 0-3, Bryan, I'm just going to promo my TikTok, I've decided. So give me a follow over there. If you're looking for plays, listen, I will be flattered if you'll buy me today after the 0-3 day. But if you're looking for someone hot, Bryan Leonard's your guy, 4-1 yesterday. And we've got some really good specials going on. So now that we have flipped to May, the calendar is flipped to May. We've got 3 days for $49. And we've got the best one is $100 off of 30-day all access. And WagerTalk's throwing you an extra 10 days, just out of the goodness of their heart. I'm not even really sure what the extra 10 days are for.
That's a great deal.
Yeah. And then we've got 1 year, and it's discounted to the point where it's below $100 a month. So 3 great long-term options. Of course, the double play, Bryan and I, any of the baseball we've got. And now we've got to get back into the comments and start just find another thing to talk about here. So I'm going to go. I kind of pick these at random. If they're not super chat comments, they don't come in starred. I pick them at random. So again, if I miss yours, I apologize. I know we got the Reds in there for our one buddy who said we never talked about the Reds. But I'll go to Jason Lambert. He just says thoughts on the Tampa Bay game. I have thoughts on this game. I have thoughts, I Friday, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be Friday, but like about once a week, I try to go in and sort of like tweak my power rankings, slide teams up, slide teams down based on like where they're at, what they've done, where I think they're going. And a team that I find myself continuing to sort of drop down, and maybe it was because I was too high on them coming into the year, Bryan, was the San Francisco Giants. I find myself dropping the Giants down a peg just about every week. I just don't know about this team. Whereas the Rays, again, they continue to do things to win. They play winning baseball. You can't say that about every team in this league. Like, they play winning baseball, and what do they do last night? Another 3-0 gutted out, grinded out win. So let's go to this game. Jason wants to know thoughts on the Tampa Bay game. I mean, those are my high level thoughts. Why would you want to play the Giants against the Rays just based on how the two teams have played baseball to this point in the season?
Well, if you are looking to play them, they've got obviously a starter that's going to go 5-6 innings. He's pitched very well in Landon Root. It's 7:15 out here in Vegas, and I get up like an hour before the game or the show or whatever, and start looking. And Griffin Jacks is supposed to pitch here, and I looked for their rotation. They do use a 5-man rotation. Do we know who's going to be coming in after he pitches 1 or 2 innings? I'm assuming they're not trying to. He last pitched on last Sunday. He threw 31 pitches.
I believe it's going to be Jesse Schultens after Jax today.
Okay,
that's what I think it's going to be.
Because I like Jax, and he hasn't gotten off to a good start this year. There has been talk in the past about him going back to starting as opposed to relieving, but I think the guy's a closer, and he will end up being a closer on this team by the end of the year. But I do like the way the Tampa Bay plays on a given day. They're very much like my hometown Cleveland Guardians. And there's certain teams, Minnesota had done that for a long time. Miami does it, where you don't have a big budget, but you continue to find ways to put out quality products. They've got one of the best managers in baseball, and they could have the best organization in baseball. That said, I like Rube. He's the one guy on this team that I don't think the betting markets have caught up all the way for. And you're getting him here. It's slightly. The game is slightly pick 'em. But let's take a quick look at the first 5 here. First 5, you could get him. He's like -115. So there's a couple places that he's a slight dog. But if I'm playing it, I'm playing the first 5 on San Francisco because I don't trust that bullpen nearly as much as I trust Tampa Bay's. Tampa Bay finds a way to win, like you were just saying. San Francisco has been finding ways to lose. It's either San Francisco in the first 5, or you've got to, if you like Tampa Bay, I would take them in the full game.
Bryan, the Rays keep coming up on the show. Of course, they had the series with the Guardians. They came up, I think yesterday we talked a little bit about them and thinking Robbie Ray would throw a decent game. Point I'm trying to make here is we've basically given out under the last week in every Rays game. And not only have they all hit, they haven't even been close. I mean, these Rays games are not even coming close to the posted total. And yet we come in here and it's still 7.5, where I make it closer to 7. I'm actually even on the other side of 7 here. I'm closer to like 6.9. Now, you talk about Jackson. He's had a little bit of struggles. I am with you. I also think he's a reliever, but could he benefit from being an opener just to sort of get his confidence back? I don't hate that. I don't mind him in there early, not in a leverage spot, opening up a game. That's not the worst thing in the world there. And then, of course, they piggyback it with Schultens. And me too. Roop is kind of the one guy I don't really want to play against either. So can I interest you in an under in any fashion here?
I could see that. Definitely could see that, especially the way Tampa Bay has been playing right now. They've been playing Tampa Bay type of baseball, which is for the most part not the power. It's the moving the bases. I talk about the leadoff hitter getting on base. And I believe the other day I talked about Cleveland had to keep him off base. He stole 2 bases in that game. So, yeah, Tampa Bay's a very good, very well coached team. San Francisco, I liked what they did from a manager standpoint, bringing in a guy from college baseball. Because a lot of people don't want to manage in San Francisco, number one, because the weather situation out there, the wind, the whole thing, and it's expensive to live in San Francisco. And let's just say what it is. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Rays, and another point I've made, they've been winning games. They haven't been knocking the cover off the ball. Last night was the same thing. I think they got it done with like 5 hits. They're getting the timely hit, but they're not creating like a ton of scoring chances. I had that. I would have made the number here 7 on the total. So while it's not like there's not crazy value on a team that's played a bunch of unders of late, there still probably is a little bit more value than there should be getting that, because of course 7 to 7.5 is a big deal. That's a big sort of half run. Go ahead.
Yep, one of the new charts over at the Ballpark Pal has got lineup rankings the last 30 days. The Rays are 21st, and the Giants are dead last. So you're getting two teams that are not hitting the ball very well. Two guys at least starting the game that I really like. We don't know how long the reliever's going to be in for one or two innings for.
Yeah, one or two.
But yeah, I would have no problem playing an under in this one. And as you mentioned, the current line right now in this one is 7.5, basically pretty flat. So minus 110.
I want to go to this game mostly because I just want a reason to talk about this Brewers team. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, is it too late to play the Braves? So, because of course, shout out to us. We were talking about the Braves on this show weeks ago. I remember even you made a comment maybe like 2 weeks ago. I think when they were still like, I don't know, there were still better prices than there are now. And you were like, well, you missed, we talked about this before the season even started. And so like you missed the boat on that. So my answer to this person, one of probably watching the show right now that asked this question was, I like the Braves if you have the Braves in pocket. I don't really want to come in now and take bad numbers with the Braves, but if it doesn't mean I don't think they're a very good team. So who's the team to buy right now in the National League if it's not the Braves and the Dodgers? And to me, that team, without a doubt, is the Milwaukee Brewers. They've got guys coming back. They've got more prospects than they know what to do with. They are, I mean, Bryan, this organization is so loaded that they're going to be able to go out and get their pick of anyone they want at the trade deadline, literally anyone they want. Like starting pitcher, bullpen guy, bat, does not matter. They have enough in the organization to not only get that guy, but also not, it wouldn't even be a thing of like, oh, well, we can't give these guys up. Like that is how much ammo this team has to spare in their farm system right now. So I am very, very high on the Milwaukee Brewers. And for Iceman, can you talk about Brewers Nationals today? How are you looking at this game?
Yeah, you mentioned the Braves. If you want the Braves, there's plenty of time to wait. All baseball teams always go on winning streaks and losing streaks. When they get on a losing streak, then you'll get better numbers, because the whole reason I want to play Atlanta to win it all is because like all the injured players they have, all the injured pitchers, and for the most part, they will all be back at the end of the season. Okay, this Milwaukee team, a couple of lefties. I got Harrison against Griffin here, two guys that were not on these teams last year. I've been very impressed by what Griffin has done this season. He has been pretty consistent. They have he may not be the best pitcher on the team, but he's given them good innings, and they're confident with him. Harrison is a guy that Milwaukee does a good job of tweaking some pitchers. It's like Pittsburgh used to be a few years ago, last decade or whatever. Somebody seems to go to Pittsburgh and they find what they do well. There's a few teams that do that in Major League Baseball. We just talked about the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay trades somebody, Baz, and he goes somewhere else. Maybe they know something. But I'm not as big a fan as Harrison. His output's been okay. I just have never been that much of a fan of him. I like Washington against lefties. They've hit lefties very well. Yesterday, somebody came in one of the chats that we do for one of our videos and says, "How's this game not go over?" Well, they did their part. Milwaukee hit the ball pretty well yesterday, but Washington didn't. I like the Washington side here in the first half. I prefer, obviously, the Milwaukee bullpen. I believe the closer has only pitched one game in the last 5 days, so he'll probably get out there and pitch today some way. But the Washington bats are not hitting well. Maybe yesterday was a somewhat of a turning point, but if you go back, and that's one of the reasons why they've struggled a little bit lately, is they just hadn't had the hitting they did earlier in the season. I do like their hitting. Just when they're down, I want to take advantage of them, and I don't want to lay a team that's not been hitting well for a little bit of time here in this situation as a road favorite in a pitching matchup that I have closer to even than what the lines maker seems to be showing here.
I'm very high on Kyle Harrison, and I also have an observation here. I don't know if there's anything to this, but of course, Kyle Harrison was in the trade for Devers last year. Ended up spending most of his year at Worcester, and so what that means, as you know, you get traded to the Red Sox organization. They instantly start messing with your pitch mix. Okay, like they start trying to make you throw. They want everyone throwing the same. They start tweaking your pitch mix. And I don't know that ever really worked out for Kyle Harrison. There was another guy they did that with where it didn't work out. His name was Quinn Priester. And who grabbed him? The Brewers.
Mhm.
And what has he done since getting to Milwaukee? He's been phenomenal. Like the best run of his career. Quinn Priester, ever since putting on a Brewers uniform, looks nothing like the guy that was buried down in Worcester, and looks nothing like the guy that came up with the Pirates. He's been a stud. He's of course hurt to start this year, but he was awesome last year. Kyle Harrison right now has 30 strikeouts in 23 and a third innings. His WHIP is 1.06. His strikeout rate is top 10 in the league. Like, are the Brewers just like? I mean, is it possible they're just this good when they get a guy that's got sort of like the right sort of mix, taking him to the next level? That, like, am I crazy to think Kyle Harrison could just do this for most of the year? He was very highly touted when he came up through the Giants organization.
He was. The only problem is we see this a lot where somebody has a few good starts. I don't think I've seen enough of them to completely buy in yet. But we see a lot of guys that have supposed to be coming up. Look how long it took. Who was it? Well, Class A or not? Never mind. I lost track of the name of the player. But many times it'll take a few years till a guy comes around, and maybe it's his time. I mean, he's obviously done well from a strikeout standpoint, but I can't fault with anything this Milwaukee team has been doing the last few years. They've just done everything the right way, and I like that, especially for a team that has not had a lot of success lately. And always like to see the teams that have not been in the playoffs for a few years get up there. It was, from a hockey standpoint, it was nice to see Edmonton lose yesterday, just because they've been to the championship the last couple of years. And I've had enough of Edmonton. Let somebody else get a chance. And that's the way I feel in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I like the Brewers here. I'm not sure if it'll be my parlay leg, but it's certainly a side that I'm looking at today. Would have like 10 to 15 cents better to play this. Minus 130 is probably about where it should be. But the final thing I'll say about this is the Nationals are set up to have more success against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching, just the way that they've built this team and their lineup. So I don't think it's the worst setup for Harrison to have success today. All right, let's go to Mike S. He says thoughts on Boston and Houston. Trusts Houston bats more than Boston. Spencer, meaning Spencer Arrighetti, has been pitching well. Bryan, this is kind of this is right up my alley. I like both of these guys right here. I've been vocal about liking Connolly early, and he's been great. 2.84 ERA. He's been in every start. I mean, he certainly looks like he's going to hang around in this rotation. Spencer Arrighetti, I think the jury is still out on him a little bit, but I mean, pre-injury, like the stuff has always been there. Like, if you followed his career through the minors, like insanely good stuff. It's been the command that has failed him at times, but he's looked pretty good since coming off the IL. So Arrighetti, Connolly early, two teams that I'm not really sure what to do with long term here. And of course the Red Sox, who recently fired their manager, but have been kind of, I feel like, somewhat same old Red Sox. I think they're 3-2 since the managerial change. So talk to me about Astros Red Sox. Do you have a way into this game?
Yeah, speaking of managerial changes, I think Phillies are 3-0 now since it, but they haven't been impressive.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
it's very similar.
Like you were saying, they were going to go 3-0 there anyway, probably.
Yeah, right. without the change. Yeah, and Boston's been very much the same way. Kindly early, real excited that he got the chance to get into the lineup a little bit earlier. They're starting to go with some of their younger players, and that's the way to go. He's a lefty going against Arrighetti. Right now, Boston's about a 120 to 130 favorite with a total of 9. Like Arrighetti, but he's always had the problems with the control, as you pointed out. And you cannot afford to walk people in this hitting environment of Boston. It's one of the best. You don't get a lot of home runs at Boston because of the Green Monster, but you do get a lot of good hitting, especially for right-handers that you get up there and hit it off the wall. Wade Boggs, not a righty, but Wade Boggs made his career out of it. But we can't afford to walk people, and that's my concern with Arrighetti here. I do like the Houston. Anytime you've got a game in which the best hitter in the game is hot, and that would be Alvarez for Houston. He's been that way all season long. You have to take a little bit of a look at the over. You're sitting out there at 9. I got to think eventually this Boston team is going to break out offensively a little bit, but I'd rather be ahead of it than behind it, because then you lose every chance of taking advantage of good numbers. If I'm playing this one, I may look for the higher scoring game here. It's the under is taking a little bit of money. You're not right now. You can get the over at minus 105, something to that effect. That would be the way I would play it if I played this game.
Yeah, one of the games that we typically hit 6 or 7 on the show on a daily basis. One always sort of moves a little bit quicker, and I'm going to move this one along quicker because I don't have anything better to offer here. It is a very much a coin flip type game. I've said I like both of these guys. Two teams that have been super inconsistent that I just don't really know what to do with. So yeah, but you're not wrong about Fenway, typically being a park that's going to produce some more runs. And I'm with you. After last night, I think we had a 3-1 final. Wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of a offensive outburst, especially because this is I feel like both of these guys have so much upside, but not all of it has been realized yet. So two younger guys, there's always a possibility of a blow up for one of them. That could get you there as well. Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that. Bryan, do you want to throw a game out maybe for the parlay, or if you want me to go first, I can go first. It's up to you.
I'm ready.
All right, yeah, go ahead. What are we talking about?
Okay, I'm going to take a look at this Kansas City-Seattle game. The righties of Lugo and Hancock on the mound. Both players have had tremendous seasons so far. Right now, Hancock is about a 140 favorite, and the total is 7.5. I played Kansas City yesterday and had success doing it. And there's different ways that I like to play this game. First of all, with a total of 7.5, if you're playing the yes run first inning, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you should be getting plus money. I think that isn't a bad bet. If you're taking a look at Seattle's lineup as of late, the top of the lineup, top 4 guys in the lineup the last 7 days, Crawford's hitting his hitting rank 77th, Raleigh 171, Julio Rodriguez 4th. He's been hot. And Josh Naylor 75th. Take a look at Kansas City's. That's also a team that's starting to come around offensively, especially the top of the order. Here's your top 4 in Kansas City. Garcia 92nd, Bobby Witt 20th, Pasquach 57th, and Salvador Perez 10th. So you've got the top of the order for both these teams hitting very well right now in a game in which the total is 7.5. I think I've liked this Kansas City, at least the top of the Kansas City offense, better than the bottom of it. And we've got 2 pitchers. Number one, Lugo. As much as I like Lugo, I think he is going to have a little bit of regression. And Hancock, he's pitched very well. He's very similar to Harrison, in my opinion. He's looked really good so far, and he looked really good in the preseason. He's been very good. I don't know if I'm fully buying in as of late. And we're getting a 7.5 here, and very similar to yesterday's game. And yesterday's game, at least in my mind, had maybe some better quality pitchers. We will see. But I like the over in this one. And if you're playing a Yurfie, I would have no problem playing the yes, they will score in the first inning of this game. But since everybody can't play that, let's just go with the over 7.5 minus 110 just about everywhere.
Glad you brought this game up because I have an opinion here too. You won the head-to-head battle between us yesterday, Bryan. I like the Mariners. You like the Royals. I thought I had you at the end there when we got to the eighth inning and the Mariners tied it up. Thankfully, I didn't give it out to clients, which I have you to thank for. Had you not made your case for the Royals, that probably ends up on my client card. So shout out to you for saving me. Would have just been more misery for me yesterday. So save me one right there, little glass half full take, but I'm gonna come right back with the Mariners here. I think that they, first of all, Emerson Hancock. I'll throw this out there with him last year. So he was a first rounder for the Mariners back in 2020, like the fifth or sixth overall pick in the draft. Very high draft pick in his draft class, and they drafted him to be a starting. That's what they drafted him with. He's like one of our next Logan Gilberts. He's one of our next big, Bryce Miller. These guys like he's the prototype guy they want in their starting rotation. And last year, after he had never pitched out of the bullpen one single time in affiliated ball until last year, and he was struggling a little bit. The Mariners had a surplus of starters. The Mariners didn't have any relief guys, and what they did was put him down in the bullpen at Tacoma and say, "Hey, we're trying to build a playoff roster. Maybe Emerson Hancock can help us out of the bullpen come the playoffs." Well, what I think happened and what they made a really good point of to talk about on Tacoma's broadcast was he didn't realize how hard he could throw consistently. Meaning, he's a five pitch mix guy. If you're always a starting pitcher, there's always like I've got to go 6 innings, I've got to go 7 innings like mentality where you're like, I can't empty the clip early, right? We know if you watch pitching, that there's a reason that some of these relievers come in and throw 101 and it looks like a frisbee. It's only going to do that for 1 inning if you're throwing like that. So starters have to manage their velocity, they got to get 90, 95 pitches. What the Mariners AAA coaching staff was saying is Emerson Hancock can throw harder than he thinks he can throw. And by becoming a bullpen guy for a little while last year, I think it's helped him up his velocity. He's still not a guy that's going to blow you away, but the reality is his fastball now sits 95. His sinker's a little bit harder. And those are his two main pitches. So it's just made him a better pitcher. And you talk about, things needing to click a little bit further down the road for some guys. Like you said, I think you made a great point. Maybe that was his moment that everything clicked. He can throw the sinker a little bit harder and the four seamer, and suddenly he's kind of looking like a really good starting pitcher. You look at his overall numbers. I mean, his whip is still below 1 this year. And he's another guy that doesn't need to rack up an insane strikeout rate to get outs. He's just naturally has good stuff. So Emerson Hancock, the Mariners, I know they fell short last night. I am going to look to run it back with them here. That's not going to be my parlay leg, but I'll tell you what, if that comes a little bit more into range, that probably makes the client card for me. I think the Mariners win this game. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, if you agree with both of us, you can always play the Seattle team total over,
Yes.
which is over 3.5. It's basically minus 135 to 138 right there. So that's a major reason of why you watch show number one. We give different opinions and we throw stuff out there, and the other guy goes, I didn't realize that, or whatever.
Mhm.
And we're always trying to find the best way to approach a game, whether it be first inning, first 5, team total, many different ways. I hate to say skin a cat because I love cats, but and I've never understood that.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I definitely agree with you on. I'm not high on Lugo. Like Lugo would be a fade for me. Like pretty much been a fade for me anytime I can find a good spot to this season. So we're on the same page there for sure. I am not. I don't think he's going to ever pitch to like what he was sort of pre-contract, if you will. So yeah, he has been a fade for me as well. All right, I know where I'm going with this. About to piss the chat off, but I talked about this. I did a spot yesterday on Drake Toll show. It's just a morning show, and I go on and talk Major League Baseball every once in a while. And so I never know what I'm going to talk about on there. I just, answer general baseball questions. It's more of a sports show, less a handicapping show. They know I'm a better, so we do slant it toward betting. Um, but I came out and said, you know what? I think this road trip might be where the Mets start to do some good. Um, you know, they've played so poorly to this point in the year, but they're the one team, Brian, where when things are not going well, I think it's better to be on the road. You're in the if you're a New York sports team and things aren't going well, you'd rather be on the road than be at home. And it's just like, looking at what they like, looking at sort of the entire body of work to this point has been so poor, but we know there's upside there. And then you look at some of the teams they're playing on this road trip. The Angels, who we both agree are not a very good baseball team. The Rockies, who we both like, but the Mets just got swept by them. I wouldn't be that surprised to see the Mets maybe get a little revenge in that series. And then the Diamondbacks. It's a 9-game West Coast road trip. I don't think it's crazy to think the Mets go 5-4, 6-3 on this road trip. They started off with a win last night, and they finally won a close game. Finally win a close game. They get it done 4-3. I kind of think they can do the same thing tonight. I think they have a pitching edge with McLean on the mound. And Brian, I'm going to let you chime in here because I know that you're going to agree. The Angels are exactly what they thought we thought they were, and we even called it. I think I said, don't be surprised if this team starts like 10-10 and is able to like battle through those first few games. The second they get an injury, the second maybe the pitching falls apart, it's going to be a free fall. It's been a free fall. I like the Mets here. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, the Angels hitting was right at one time. They were up there with like the Dodgers in WRC plus in the 135 range or whatever, 130. Now they're down to 104, which tells you how far they are falling as of late. If you do want to play the Mets, I would suggest playing the first half because the last 2 days they've had to use Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, and Brooks Raley, their top 3 guys, and then Adasker Brazelbon had to pitch yesterday. He'll be available today, but they do have a little bit of a shortage for the best arms in the bullpen. But yeah, it's the Angels not hitting, and say what you want about the Mets, the pitching has been pretty good. If you take a look at their starters over the last 14 days, McLean is 48th, Holmes is 38th, Peralta 70th, Scott 83rd. The only one that hasn't been good is Peterson, but he had that one game where he just got bombed. But other than that, the starting pitch has been very good. And that's what makes your bullpen good. If the starters can go 6 innings, 5 innings on a regular basis, that means your bullpen doesn't get overloaded. And right now, the back of the bullpen or the front of the bullpen, where the guys come in and usually the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, they're all available. Now, you would expect with the starter on the mound in McLean that he'll go 6. So that won't be that much of a big deal. But I prefer the Mets here too. And it's hard. You got to hold your nose sometimes and bet these teams that have not looked good. But I want no part of the Angels right now. I do like Detmers. I think he's coming along. But to get the Mets, which are clearly the Angels, I talked about before the season. I said they could be the team with the worst. I think you could get them at 12-1 to have the worst record of Major League Baseball this year. And the Mets coming into the season, I thought were going to win that division. So, granted, they're not playing that way now, but if I'm playing, I'm laying.
Yeah, Craig says if this is, I guess, my case for why I'd want all 9 innings. It's like I kind of Detmers I don't mind either. He's definitely a guy that's sort of come into his own a little bit. He's kind of had to remake himself a couple different times as a pitcher there. But give me all 9 innings against this Angels team because I want 9 innings for them to mess it up. Craig, yeah, if the Angels are who they thought they were, don't let them off the hook. That's why I'm strongly considering betting on the Mets today. I still think Nolan McLean has he's a guy that like his ceiling is ace still, in my opinion. Like the nasty spin rate on his pitches. Like there are not many starting pitchers in Major League Baseball that have like the arsenal of stuff that he has. The ridiculous spin rate, and remember he's only been up since like late last year. So I don't even think Nolan McLean, we've even really seen his ceiling at this point. He's someone that I'm going to continue to target. And again, you make a good point about the Mets bullpen, but I don't want to miss those innings against the Angels bullpen, who is arguably worse. Like that's the thing that you know what I mean. Like don't forget last year, this team had like a negative 170 run differential, something crazy, and they may be, they're probably not going to get to that point this year, but I do think there is room for it to get worse for this team that started probably as good as they could have started the season.
You're paying about 5 cents extra if you're looking to play the first half as opposed to the full game, just to let you know. So it doesn't make, it's not a big difference.
All right, we have reached the end of the show. Once again, a lot of new specials for the month of May up at WagerTalk. Really good 30-day. That 30-day is probably the best one, best bang for your buck. There's a discount on annual all access that gets it to below $100 a month, and then a 3-day special as well. There's always going to be the special, the double play, so you can get myself or Bryan on that. So a bunch of different ways to save money on these picks over at WagerTalk. I've got a 4% play up for today as well. Bryan's going to have, I don't know if he's locked in his plays yet, but he will, of course, have something. And he was 4-1 across all sports yesterday. So you probably go check his page out. Our parlay for today, 2-teamer. I'm going to go with the Mets on the money line. Bryan, is that like minus 125? Is that fair?
Yeah.
What are you seeing? Yeah. So I'm going to go with Mets on the money line, minus 125. And Bryan is going to go Royals, Mariners, over 7.5, minus 110. Little 2-teamer today. Hopefully we can get back in the win column on these. And then the two of us will be back with you 9 a.m. Monday morning for more Total Basis. Have a great weekend, everyone. Cash all your tickets. We will see you guys then.